event. And like I said, I am so sick and excited for all of you guys to be here. And I want to say thank you first and foremost for spending the time with me. I know that all of us have crazy busy lives. It is August, which means that we are still in the thick of summer. And for me anyway, like that means running my kids all over the place and hopefully getting a chance to grab a bite to eat every once in a while, right? So I want to make sure that we do as much as we can to give you guys the information that you need tonight to make this interactive, to make this fun, and to be really respectful of your time. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to get started. Like I said, I'm really, really excited to be with you guys tonight. My name is Dr. LaChelle Wieme, and I want to just say first and foremost that some of you guys might have been invited by someone that really wanted you to know more about the AO scan. Some of you guys have been using it for a while. Some of you may have experienced the scan, and some of you maybe have just heard a friend say, oh my gosh, like you totally just need to see something like this, right? And so whatever brought you here tonight, honestly, my goal is super, super, super simple. What I want to do is I want you to help to explain the AO scan in a way that really is going to be simple. I want to really help you take away from this conversation tonight thinking, okay, I get why somebody would maybe want to access to this. I get how this could possibly help me in my everyday life. And I want to do that without making it complicated. So that is my goal tonight. And oftentimes people that have been in this world for a while get kind of geeky and nerd out on things like frequency and biofeedback and biofield and quantum physics and energetic signatures and all these cool, fun things to say. But honestly, while that might be fascinating, I don't want to lose anybody tonight. And we're going to keep this super, super simple. So we're not going to start there. We're going to start with something that all of us can understand. And that is really just applying this to real life with real human beings. Okay. So a little bit about me, if you have no idea who the heck I am, I'm just going to say that I have a background in traditional healthcare. So I am a nurse. I'm a nurse anesthetist, and I have been doing anesthesia for over 20 years. I have my doctorate degree, and in my professional life, I have been both a professor for a Doctor of Nurse Anesthesia program, as well as now the Susan program, which is a naturopathy, Doctor of Naturopathy program, which I'm super excited about. And so again, for over 20 years, I have been taking care of people in operating rooms. And I just gotta say, like, do you know that when I usually meet my patients, it's not because they're like, oh, today would be a good day to have an operation, right? It's usually after something is actually really, really wrong and they need to come in for interventions. And so that is what I have learned to appreciate, right? Is that something hurt these people. Something wasn't functioning properly. Something had progressed so far that now we see this need to intervene. And so if you guys are here and you're listening to this and you've ever had surgery, I want you to like say, yeah, I totally hear you in the comments. Like none of us want to have to go under the knife. None of us want to have to be put under anesthesia. None of us want to spend our time in a hospital, right? But we get to a point where all of a sudden we realize that we can't fix something on our own and that we need a medical professional to help us with that. And so I want to be really, really clear from the very, very beginning of this that I have a tremendous, tremendous respect for modern medicine. In fact, I've spent what I joke around is 100 years studying, what I do and a huge portion of my life practicing it. So the AO scan is not meant to replace your physician. It's not meant to replace medical testing. It's not meant to replace treatment or your veterinarian, right? Because this can be used for pets too, but it does give us a very, very different type of a wellness tool and something that we can all relate to in some way. All right. So I'm going to talk about this cool wellness tool. I'm going to talk about it in a way that hopefully you can relate to. And I'm going to bring in personal stories from myself, from my family, from my clients, and I'm going to have a few really important people in my life also share kind of their experiences completely off the cuff because I think it's really important to be real. Okay. And I'm also going to keep it real by sharing just literally just my normal everyday life from today. Okay, so check this out. My husband tells me that at 8 o'clock in the morning he's leaving because he's taking my car in to get the oil change, right? And like nothing was wrong with my car, right? We just changed the oil, right? Because we want to take care of the vehicle while it's still working well. Okay, so because my husband took my car in to get the oil change, I got to take his pickup for a routine mammogram. So again, like those maintenance things that we're supposed to do on a regular basis so that we can essentially prevent or catch things that are possibly lurking in the background that we don't know about, right? And so that was my morning. And so my husband's taking my car in for the oil change. I took his pickup in for my mammogram. And as I was driving home from the clinic today with his pickup, I noticed that there was a little light on the dashboard that said that the right rear tire was low. Now here's the reality, right? Like the tire wasn't flat. I was not stranded on the side of the road, thankfully, right? The truck was completely driving fine, but the dashboard gave me information. It basically said, hey, you might want to pay attention to this. And if I don't pay attention to it, eventually something could happen and I do end up on the side of the road and I'm not happy about that. And so that's one of the things that I want to express as a way that I think about wellness. Sometimes we're just maintaining something that is working perfectly fine, right? Like I didn't have any symptoms for me to go in for my mammogram. I just went because it was what I was supposed to do. Sometimes we notice an early sign that gets our attention, like the low tire pressure on my husband's car. And sometimes, let's face it, like something is already bothering us and we want to know what the heck we can do about it. I'm going to give you an example. My mom, she is not somebody that would want to be on camera. So, as much as I could ask her, she's like, you tell my story. But my mom had an unfortunate reaction to the COVID vaccine. And she ended up having a lot of weeping and irritation and flakiness from her skin, and to a point where like she could not sleep at night. Like it was so bothersome. She went to the doctor, they gave her all of these different stabs and creams and things like that, and nothing helped. And so I was telling my mom one day that I was kind of playing with this AO scan, this wellness software that I'm using. And I'm like, Mom, I found this button that said vaccination detox. Like, I don't really know what this thing does yet, but let's try it and see what happens. And we started playing with the AO scan. I started running this program that I found this button for. And no lie, her reaction completely cleared up. And she has found that that has been, gosh, 5 years now. And she finds that whenever she stops running that vaccination detox program, after a day or two, her symptoms start coming back. And so sometimes we are faced with something that's so acute that we're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what the heck I need to do, but something needs to change. And sometimes it's literally just the maintenance stuff that we do because we're supposed to. And sometimes, again, it's because a button is lighting up and telling us, hey, you should look at this. But the reason I'm mentioning, my mom and her story and the fact that she was bothered by this and she wanted to do something about it because as a life and business coach that I do in addition to anesthesia, I have found that human beings, myself included, are not always really good about doing things just for prevention. Like, let's be real, okay? So sometimes, I'm going to say myself included here, that we start eating differently after the lab result came back that scared us a little bit and told us that we're pre-diabetic, right? We start exercising after we can't get our pants buttoned from last year, right? Like fall comes and you're like, oh crap. Sometimes we finally address our stress after we're completely exhausted and snapping at the people that we love the most, right? That is completely human. And so I am not here tonight to tell you that you should spend money preventing something that may or might not ever happen someday. Like I get it. Like we're all real. We're all human. But some of you might be in this place where you really do want to take care of your body and you want to prevent things. Some of you are like, I just want to know what the heck's going on. And some of you are like, this does not feel like living to me and I need to figure this out. And so all of those needs are going to be met tonight. That's my goal for you. Okay. And so what I also promise is that what we're going to do is we're going to apply all this in a very practical way because I don't like a lot of fluff. Like I want to get you to what you need and I want you to get you on your way. So that's my goal. So if there's something that is not hitting right or that you have questions about, we do have a Q&A reserved for the end of this for those of you guys who are on live. So I really, really do hope that you stay on if you have questions because I want to make this as realistic, as practical and helpful for you as I possibly can. All right. So what um what I want to do is just to really say that this is the big question. What can I do today to become more aware of myself and have more tools available to support myself and the people that I love? And that is the big thing too, because this is not just about me. It's about my two kids and my husband and my parents and my cat, my dog, and my clients, and all the people that I love that I can also use this for. Okay. So let's start out by just saying, like, what the heck is the AO scan? You guys are here again because either you've been using it for a while and you want to learn how to talk about it. Maybe you have been exposed to it in some way. Maybe somebody just is like, you need to be here, right? So let's just be very, very simple, very, very basic, and just say that the AO scan is honestly just a personalized wellness toolbox. And it's a wellness toolbox that you can literally access from your phone. All right. It gives you different ways to check in with your body. And it does so physically, emotionally, and mentally. And then it provides different tools that you get to use to keep and get things back into balance. All right. So we're going to continue to kind of use this car analogy. And I also like to think of it like, again, as like a wellness toolbox. So think of a toolbox in your garage, right? We don't use every single tool every day. Sometimes you need a screwdriver, sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you're fixing something, sometimes you're just maintaining something so that it doesn't break. And sometimes the tool isn't for you. Maybe it's somebody that you love or that you care about or a neighbor that needs a tool. The AO scan honestly works more like that. We're going to talk about the physical side of things because that's why some of you guys are here. But I want to start with my absolute favorite part of this technology, which is the emotional side, because I think personally that this is the most fascinating part of the AO scan technology. But instead of telling you why emotions matter before I start to share my screen, I would rather let you experience it first. Okay, you guys cool with that? So, if you're good, if you're in a place where you can participate with me, that you are able and willing to and comfortable enough to close your eyes for a moment, I would like you to do so. Okay. And if you're comfortable with that and your eyes are closed or gaze down if that's more comfortable for you, I don't want you to worry. We're not going to make make you embarrassed or make you dance or confess your secrets on Zoom. Like I promise we're not going to do that. But we're just going to do this little experiment. And nothing I'm about to describe is actually happening. I just want to make sure that I'm very clear about that because as a trauma informed and aware coach, I want to make sure that you guys all understand that nothing that I'm about to say is actually happening, that you are safe. But what I do is I want you to notice what your body feels like and what your body does in response to what we're going to do, okay? All right, so if you're ready, if you're comfortable, I would love for you to close your eyes or gaze down, all right? And I want you to imagine that you are running really late for something that is extremely important to you. Maybe it's an appointment, maybe it's a job interview, maybe it's, your wedding day. Like, I want you to think about something that's really important to you, and I want you to imagine that you're really, really late. Okay. You should have left at least 10 minutes ago. So what do? You grab your things and you rush out the door and you get in your car. And then you realize that you're almost out of gas. Then your phone rings and it's the person that is waiting for you. You're not there yet. You literally just left. And now you're going to be even later because you have to stop and get gas. And so what do? You look at your phone, you see that it's ringing and you see the person and you know that they're going to be disappointed and you're going to have to come up with an excuse. And so you don't answer it, you avoid it because now you're watching the clock. And you pull out into the road and the traffic is not moving. Like literally must have been an accident or something because traffic is stalled. And another minute passes and another minute passes and you look at the clock again and it doesn't seem like it's moving and your phone is buzzing again and you're just getting later and later. Ooh, I want you to just notice in your body. What are you noticing in your body? Is anything happening into your breathing? Do you notice that your breathing maybe is a little more shallow? Do you notice that your heart may be racing just a little bit? Maybe your palms are sweaty. Maybe you have a little knot in your stomach. Maybe your shoulders are tense or you're clenching your jaw. Don't change anything, just notice. What are you noticing in your body? And when you're kind of ready, I want you to go ahead and open your eyes. And I would love to see from a show of hands or chat in the comments, how many of you noticed something, right? Maybe your shoulders tightened a little bit. Maybe you realize that your jaw was super clenched. Maybe you noticed your breathing was a little bit more shallow. Maybe you felt that knot in your stomach or your chest. Tell me in the comments what you experienced. You see, here's what's really fascinating about this, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna read this. I want to read what your comments are because I want to know if I'm alone here. What did you experience? My breathing was faster, jaw was tight, palms sweaty. Yep, tightness, like panic, pressure in head. My heart quickened, my breath was shallow, anxiety, heart racing, tight in my stomach, right? Okay, I'm not the only one. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for helping me not feel alone. Now, the fascinating thing, friends, is that I'm sitting here in my office. Where are you? I know that you're not in your car. Many of you, hopefully not with your eyes closed, right? This isn't really happening. You're not late. Somebody isn't waiting for you. The phone didn't ring. And yet your body may have responded to the experience as if it was actually happening because your brain was creating it. Your thoughts can influence how fast your heart beats, how your breathing goes, the digestion, the sweatiness in your palms. Neurotransmitters, different hormones are flooding your system, creating a physical experience just from the way that you were thinking. You are safe. It's amazing how much happens when we worry, huh, friends? How many of you guys are chronic worriers like I am? You worry about what you have going on. It's Monday, so you've probably had a whole bunch of things to get done today. And we let our thoughts and our imagination create this fight or flight experience in our body. And our physical body shows up differently, doesn't it? All right, I don't want to leave you like that. So what I'd like you guys to do is I want you to close your eyes again. All right? If you feel comfortable with that, otherwise go ahead and gaze down. And what I'd like us to do all together is to take a slow breath in. And as you breathe out, I want you to breathe out a little bit longer than your inhale. And I want you to do that again. Another big breath in. And I want your exhale to be just a little longer than your inhale. And I want you to imagine somewhere that you feel completely safe and peaceful. Maybe you're like me and you're sitting next to the ocean. You can hear the waves. You can smell the salt. Maybe you're at the lake. Maybe you're in the mountains. Maybe you're curled up in your favorite chair at home, snuggling your kids. There's nowhere that you need to be. There's nothing that you need to accomplish. Nobody needs anything from you right now. I want you to allow yourself to take another beautiful, nice, slow, relaxing breath. And imagine the warmth of the sun on your skin. And now imagine somebody that you love deeply sitting next to you. You don't even need to talk, you're just simply together. They make you feel safe and loved and extremely grateful. You feel your shoulders soften, your jaw is unclenched and loose. And you take one more slow breath. And I want you to just notice your body. How does it feel? When you're ready, you can open your eyes. And again, by show of hands and in the chat, I want you to tell me how many of you notice a difference. Yeah, good, good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you playing along. And in the chat, let me know how that made you feel. What did you feel in your body? What did you notice? calmer. Excellent. And it does take longer to unwind, doesn't it, than to get worked up. But you feel more relaxed and at peace and calmer, and I love that so much for you. Again, friends, nothing outside of you changed. Nothing outside of you changed. Your internal experience changed, and your body participated in that experience. And we see this happening all the time. Think about something that embarrassed you and your face turned red, right? Think about something frightened you and your heart raced and your palms get sweaty. Stress can change our breathing. Our muscles tighten, our stomach can feel different, sleep can be affected. And the reality is that our emotions and our physical experiences are not completely separate from each other. That's why chronic stress and constant fight or flight that a lot of people that I know personally are in can impact your digestion. They can impact your sleep. It impacts your weight. It impacts your heart. And honestly, that's why I oftentimes say that I look at the word disease and I think of it more as dis-ease or lack of ease. And even though I have a medical background, I'm not using that as a medical definition or suggesting that every single disease is caused by emotion, but I am reminding you simply that we're just talking about a whole person wellness here, that our emotional well-being belongs in the conversation too. And that is why I absolutely love the feature that I'm about to share with you right now called the inner voice. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. And Connie, can you just clarify that you guys can see the inner voice or the AO scan on my screen? Okay, excellent. All right, you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to take you down. This is what it looks like when you log in. And some of you guys are using a different version. This is the version I teach my people that I coach and I teach. And so we're going to go through the version that I use, okay? So this is what it looks like when you first log in. And again, you can use this from the palm of your hand on your phone. I'm using it on my desktop computer. I can log in on my iPad. Whatever I can access the internet, I can access the AO scan. All right. And I'm going to scroll down to this place right here in the middle called inner voice. And it says sound harmonizing techniques that generates balancing audio frequency. All right, so that sounds super fancy, but let's just go ahead and make this sound like it's what it really is, okay? The inner voice is a program that we can use within the AO scan that allows us to do two things. It allows us to figure out like how we really are, like really are, even when we can't even put our finger on it, and what we can freaking do about it because I'm all about practicality. Okay. So, how many of you guys have ever had somebody ask you, like, hey, what's wrong? And you answer with, like, I'm fine, everything's fine, right? But really, I always say that F it never ends. That's what it stands for. But fine, I'm fine, right? I'm fine. And so you're not fine though. People can tell. If I called up my mom, if I called up my best friend right now, without them even telling me, I could pick up on their voice and whether or not they were having a good day or a bad day. And so, somebody's asking you, like, how are you doing? And you're like, I'm fine. And then your spouse is sitting there thinking, like, she ain't fine. Like she's a hot mess right now, right? And so that's what the AO scan and the inner voice can do for us is it can actually tell us what's going on inside of our emotional state even though we may not even be consciously aware of it, right? We just feel like maybe something's off or I feel stuck or I'm just not myself, but you don't really know why. The AO scan can actually give you insight through the inner voice. And what happens is that you speak to it right here, this little record button for about 10 seconds. And I can do this with clients where I have them just send me a voice text and I will hold my phone up to my computer and I'll let it just analyze their voice, 10 seconds of their voice. And what happens is the AO scan analyzes this beautiful spectrum inside of your voice and it looks at 12 musical notes. And it literally can identify using this beautiful algorithm what emotions are currently they consider being overly expressed and one that is being suppressed or pushed down or repressed for greater than 2 years is wild. And from that information, it generates a very personalized custom music file called a Balancing Harmonics. And you don't have to understand all of that to understand why somebody might use it. So my friend Connie, who's on tonight, she had referred to the inner voice as an emotional selfie, and I loved that analogy because it really is. It's if you think about it in a selfie, it's not how you are forever. It's this moment right now, right? When I may have, combed my hair or I may have not, right? Like it's literally how I'm showing up in this exact moment right today. Maybe I know I'm stressed, maybe I don't. Maybe I've gotten used to carrying everything that I don't even realize how much I'm carrying anymore. And I've literally just like taken myself in depletion mode. Sometimes the first value is honestly just awareness, and that it may be hard to intentionally support something that we haven't even noticed yet. So, based on what shows up in your AO scan, it creates a personalized balancing music that is designed to support even greater emotional balance. All right. So, if you think about it, it's like that first analogy that I gave you with the stressful car ride, and it kind of shifts you back into where you were visualizing your favorite place, where you felt safe and loved and in peace. And that's what I love about this so much. So let's bring this back to the car analogy, okay? Because I'm gonna continue to use this throughout this training. So imagine you're in a car, right? And let's say you're in the car and a song comes on the radio that completely shifts how you feel. Have you ever had that happen where you're like all of a sudden you just start to dance? And I mean, it's like bring out the 90s hip hop and I'm all over that stuff, right? Like bring back to my high school days. And so you can completely change your mood based on music. And it's like that, but on steroids, because a song on the radio can completely shift you. It can cheer you up, it can make you cry. It taps into something inside of you. Now imagine that what you're listening to on the radio, like I get goosebumps, you guys. Like imagine you're in the car and what you're listening to on the radio was created just for you, just for that moment. Like imagine like that your radio was playing music that was designed just for you, just for that moment. If you needed something to support sadness, your personalized music shifts that. If you needed something to make you feel more at peace, it does that too. Each song is completely built just for you and just for that exact moment. Like, how cool is that? And so now you can listen while you're driving, or you can put your headphones on, your earbuds on, and you can listen while you're getting ready in the morning, or while you're walking, or while you're working. Or you can listen while, you're having one of those days where everybody in your family needs something at the exact same time, and you're like about ready to lose your SHIT, right? I want you to think back to an experience that you had just a couple minutes ago. A few minutes ago, you noticed how changing your brain, what your brain was processing, changed how some of you physically felt within a matter of seconds, did it? That's why emotional wellness is so stinking important, and why my simple explanation of the inner voice is really just this. It helps me become more aware of what I may be carrying emotionally, and it gives me personalized audio designed to support it for greater balance. That's it. And I love that so much. So now we're going to shift into one of my other um, features that I'm going to go up to the AO scan up here. That's always going to take me back to the main screen. And I'm going to go into something called vitals. All right. So you can see here where it scans over 550 blueprint frequencies tied to bodily functions and gives you a concise snapshot of your blood, organs, and more. All right. So I can scan my body and I'll go ahead and do it. Why not? We'll see what it does while I'm sitting here. I'm going to turn off the music that I'm sharing because I don't want you guys to have to listen to that. Give me one sec. We're going to not share sound and maybe this will be better. Great. Honey, can you hear it? Okay, good. You can just hear me? Okay, good. Perfect. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to give you an idea of the vitals. Right now it's scanning my body. And I want you to think about the vitals are like the dashboard on your car. It was like the low tire pressure light on my husband's pickup today, okay? It gives you information that helps you know where you might want to just put a little bit more attention. We can ignore it until all of a sudden something happens, right? And so this just really just gives us this information so that we can be on top of it so that it doesn't have to turn into something that is causing us attention. And so when you think about this, the AO scan scans more than 550 blueprint frequencies, like I mentioned, associated with different body function, and displays the results across several wellness reports that we're going to have access to. And you don't have to remember that number. Like none of that's that fancy, but I want you to remember that your vitals is literally just like the dashboard. What is getting my attention today? Is there something that keeps showing up? I tell people to look for patterns. That's what we care about. Is there any area that I want to become more curious about? Just like a dashboard warning, it isn't a mechanic diagnosing your car. So the AO scan is not necessarily diagnosing a medical condition, but it gives you information through this wellness model. And this information can help you ask better questions. Okay, so I can just show you right here. It's pretty cool. Like these are all the things that this thing scanned for me in what, a minute and a half. Pretty freaking cool. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but there are 550 different data points, everything from my diet to parasites to viruses to my blood cell count to my chakras to my meridians. Like it's really freaking cool. All right. So my next thing that I want to show you, and again, I'm going to just go back to the main screen and I'm going to go to comprehensive. Okay. Now, comprehensive, I'll go ahead and let it do its thing. Now, comprehensive is almost like looking underneath the hood of the car, all right? Sometimes the dashboard gets us our attention and it wants us to seek out more information. So that's what I think about the comprehensive. The vitals are the dashboard. Comprehensive is like taking it to the mechanic and looking under the hood. It allows us to take a deeper look across many different areas of our body. And remember, I said that vitals is like, pay attention to this. It's like the dashboard. Comprehensive is like, hey, let's look a little bit deeper. Okay. And so this is basically what it's doing. I'll just stop it and I'll show you guys my report from earlier today. It's really cool. It gives me lots of information. I'm just going to give you high level here. All right. So again, I don't really care as much about looking at all of this stuff right now. What I care about are trends. And if I see things over and over again that I'm like, this doesn't feel right, or hey, I want to know a little bit more about this, I have this information and that's what's important. All right. The next feature that I want to show you is body systems. Okay. And I'm not going to let it run because it might just take longer than I have to talk about it. So body systems is really looking at, is the whole vehicle, is my whole body working together? That is the body systems. So if you think about it, our car is not just an engine. It has a fuel system, it has an electrical system, it has a cooling system, transmission, brakes, steering, exhaust, all the things, right? Each system has a different job, but none of them operate independently. So if your cooling system isn't working properly, eventually your engine may have a problem. If your electrical system isn't working, it can affect all kinds of things throughout the vehicle. Your body system works similarly. So different systems are interconnected and they influence each other. So this particular part of the program can help us to just honestly take a step back and look at those larger systems rather than focusing on any individual one and really looking at how they're working together. Is one impacting another? So just like our car analogy, it's really simple. Vitals is checking the dashboard. Comprehensive is looking under the hood. And the body systems is looking at how all the major systems in the vehicle or your body are working together. And then, just like with our other scans, if AO identifies something that's outside of the expected range, we can optimize it to support it back into balance just by pushing a button. Just by pushing a button. And I'm going to just share with you guys just the snapshot so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So if I go back to the vitals, because I think that this is the easiest one to look at. So when it scanned my body, and you can look to see it says 7:31 p.m. here in Minnesota, you'll notice that, and I actually didn't optimize, so this will be interesting actually. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a good example because I didn't optimize. So maybe I'll do that and then I'll show you guys. That'll be better. I'll talk to you while I'm doing that, I think. So right now I'm letting my body be optimized by the AO scan, and you're going to see in just a moment how that helps my whole body be back into balance, okay? All right. So now one of the things that's really fascinating is that while I'm doing this right now for myself with my computer in front of me, I can also scan my mom who's 3 hours away. I can scan my friend who's in London. I can scan, anybody anywhere, which is what I love about this. But you're like, LaChelle, how? How is it that I can actually do all of this stuff from my phone? And I'm not going to tell you that I am a quantum physicist, nor am I going to tell you that you have to be to understand this. What I am going to tell you, though, is I'm going to use a very simple analogy that helped me kind of wrap my head around all of this stuff. All right. So think about a modern connected vehicle. Now, I have my friends that are big fans of Tesla. I don't know if you guys have ever driven one, but I am so hooked. And when I get my next car, it's going to be a Tesla. Like that thing is so freaking cool to drive, right? But one of the things that's so fascinating about Tesla is that today's cars can transmit information about themselves remotely. It's so interesting. So certain diagnostic information can be assessed without the vehicle even being physically present at the dealership. And some software related issues can be addressed through over the air update with somebody just like their car parked in the garage. Like, how the heck can you do that? Like, diagnose and fix without it ever even being there. That's kind of, a similar analogy to what we're doing here. So think about your phone. Someone can take a picture in Portugal. I was just there last week and send it to me. And in seconds later, that exact information appears on my phone in Minnesota. All right. Like, how the heck did that happen? I didn't see a picture flying through the air, right? Information is being transmitted and received. Now, I'm not saying that AO scan works through cellular technology or that your body is a Tesla. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But those examples give us really something familiar to help us to imagine an unfamiliar idea. So within the AO scan model, a small amount of information is brought into the system to help you create basically this digital thumbprint. So it's going to help you identify who you are. That's unique to just you. All right. And what it does then is it uses that information to access information associated with that individual against what it called the blueprint frequencies. So it's going to be able to essentially see what's going on and it's going to compare it to all of these blueprint frequencies. So the idea is essentially, what would I expect to see? And what appears outside of that expected range. And then the optimization portion, the one that you just saw me run, is designed to provide balancing frequencies towards that unexpected or expected the thing that's out of range basically and brings it back to neutral. So you don't have to be an expert in the proposed mechanism to understand the model. So I want to just like really keep it super clear. We scan, we compare it to what we know is normal, and then we support it. That's it. Scan, compare, support. Scan is what's showing up, compare it to the blueprint, provide support towards balance, and that's the basic idea. And so I'm going to show you right now. Okay, this is better. All right. So what you're going to notice is that when I ran my scan, when you saw the body, the skeleton, it was scanning my body, and that's in this gray column. And you'll see that there's, quite a bit of red, which is basically meaning that it's out of range. Neutral is what I want, and if it's vibrating faster or slower than what we would expect, is going to give me a red, okay? Notice that there's a lot more red on the gray column than there is on the white column, because the white column is after it optimized. It's after, my analogy is the Tesla sent the information, the car sent the information, and then the dealership sent the software repair to fix it. Like that's essentially what happened. And so now I have way more green, and my body is able to function closer to what I would expect. Now, just like the information on my car, All of these reds are just like the little button that shows up on the low tire pressure, right? If it stays on after a while, I'm gonna probably need to do something about it. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get wonky lights that come on for like a day and then they just go away. I don't worry about that. I don't stress about it. I don't think that my car is gonna leave me on the side of the road. Same with the AO scan. Sometimes things sort of show up. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then I look for it and never shows up again. And so it's just information. It's just like the dash light on your car. But ultimately, what we should see is on the left, I should see green. On the left column or the white column, I should see way more green. And I do. It's shifted from red to green. Now, not everything has, and that's where my diet comes in. That's where my emotions come in. That's where the people I hang around with come in. It's where all the things that combine to my emotional and physical well-being. And this is just a tool that I can use to help it function a little bit better. Okay. Now I'm going to show you one of my favorite scans that I do all the time because I'm busy. That's the thing. Like many of you guys are sitting here thinking like, okay, so LaChelle, you showed me inner voice, you showed me vitals, you showed me comprehensive, you showed me body systems, but I have a job and I have kids and I'm not spending my entire morning scanning myself. And I got you because I'm the same way. So that's why I love the easy scan. So on the easy scan, all I do is click on this button. And it literally is the inner voice, the vitals, and the comprehensive all in one scan. And it takes about 3 minutes, probably 3 to 5 minutes to scan. And then I'm all done. And it gives me everything that I need. It gives me my music. It gives me only the things that stay out of range or stay in red after it optimized. And it gives me this quick little snapshot of what I need. So it's made my body more in balance, and it gave me the music that I need to listen to make myself in a better place emotionally. All right, let's see. What else did I want to show you? Okay, I wanted to go over quick scan, and that is I'm going to basically show you here these energetic boosts and auras. So sometimes I just need like something to make me function better. So as I mentioned, I do anesthesia. I'm a mom. I also am a business and life coach. I speak. I take people on retreats. Like I wear a lot of hats. And sometimes I just freaking need some energy. And so what I'll do is I will push this button, supercharger, and it'll give me the 3 minute boost of energy. Sometimes I just need to focus because I have a deadline. I need to get stuff done. I'll push this and it'll give me the music that I need to listen to. Sometimes I just need to ground myself because I'm all worked up about something. And sometimes I just need to clear and I need to shield myself because I'm around a lot of crabby people and I just need to protect my energy field from that. And so there's lots of things that I can do with just a moment and one quick button. So that's what I like. I'm very much like practical use, like what can I do with this? All right. And then there's Cephi. And Cephi is one of the favorites in the AO scan community because there are so many things that we can do with it and we kind of go down rabbit holes. But everything that I've taught you up to this point is going to give you much of what the AO scan can do. The Cephis is just, again, something that a bunch of us just really love because there's so much you can do. And I love how my friend Connie, she compared it to like Spotify for wellness. And that's what I love. Like there's different playlists that you can either create yourself or you can select, and it's going to give you exactly what you need. So for example, I play this Dance Again Cephi every single day. I have for years and years and years had just achiness in my joints. In fact, when I was in college, I actually had them test me for rheumatoid arthritis because I wanted to be a surgeon and I was afraid that if I got through all that schooling and then I had arthritis, that would not be a good thing. And I got to just tell you guys, I did not have rheumatoid arthritis, but I still had that achy joints. Not anymore. All I do is I hit this button and I push play and I feel good. I have a client. I'm actually no, I'm a client of hers. She's my hairdresser. This happened to me just a couple weeks ago where I got there and she was feeling miserable. She's like, LaChelle, I can barely breathe. I mean, I feel miserable. Her allergies were out of control. So I pulled her up on my system and I pushed this button and I ran her the seasonal allergies and I said, how do you feel? And she's like, I feel like almost normal. And she goes, but I did take my allergy pills. I go, when? When did you take your allergy pills? And she's like, 2 hours ago. I'm like, they would have started working within 30 minutes. So that's not your allergy pill, sister. And she's like, so that's what I love about this is that these are like Spotify for how you're feeling in the moment. And there's things that you can do to create energy shifts within your body for pretty much anything you can imagine. And it's really cool. So many of us can go down rabbit holes. You want to focus, you want more confidence, you want inner peace, you want to sleep. There's a SEPI protocol for sleep. Um, Good night's rest right here, ready to go. You'll notice that there's things in here like black-eyed Susan. So they use different homeopathics. There's different things just to help with anxiety and insomnia. So it's pretty cool how we create these little playlists. And like I said, you can create your own. You have unlimited number of things that you can create yourself. We all are always helping each other create cool playlists. And then of course the program creates our own. Now, the one last program that I wanted to talk about, because I don't want to run out of time, is the Mind Sync. Now, I keep going back to this, the car analogy. So how many of you guys had little kids, right? And you're like, oh my God, if I have to listen to Baby Shark one more time, I'm gonna pull off to the side of the road or pull off the side of the cliff. Like you have something like going on and on and on in your mind. And so it's so fascinating as a mindset coach. I know that most of our thoughts are actually on repeat and about 85% of them are negative, right? And so what we can do is we have these like repeat, and it makes us just want to like not do something or not feel good about ourselves. Or like I said, Baby Shark will do all kinds of things to people. So when we think about this, we can either allow ourselves to become victims to this never-ending loop, this old vinyl record that just keeps going and going and going, or we can rewrite that brain pathway. And MindSync does that. This is like an affirmation program on steroids. It uses all kinds of fancy things that I'm not going to get into tonight because you guys probably don't even care. But what I'm going to tell you is that you get to essentially create what you want your brain to play on repeat. Think about it like it's a GPS for your car. You tell it where you want it to go instead of letting it continue to go back and around that same block over and over and over again. You want to be more confident. You want to be healthier. You want to lose weight. You want to have a better relationship with your family. You can create affirmations and utilize this program to help you create new brain pathways so that becomes your new essentially GPS to your future. And that's what I love about that. So I'm going to stop sharing and what I'm going to do is tell you that while all of the cool things that I talked to you about are things that I use personally myself, my favorite part of this is that I can use it on anybody. Like we have an unlimited number of people that we can have inside of our system, and to be able to help my pets and my family and my clients and people that I work with at the hospital when I know that they're struggling with something. And what I'm going to ask you is if you're thinking, okay, well, this sounds interesting, but I don't know how I use this all in myself, then I'm going to ask you, who else do you love? Your spouse, your kids, your parents, your grandkids. And then there's that family member that eats things off the floor and you can't tell what's wrong and then somehow costs more at the doctor than everybody else, right? Like come on, like it's your toddler, it's your dog, whatever. And so the AO scan options are for kids, it's for pets, it's amazing. And so anyone who loves your little ones, who loves your animals, knows how helpless it can feel when they can't tell you what's wrong and when something changes and you don't know how to fix it. And so again, the AO scan does not replace your veterinarian, it does not replace your pediatrician, but it gives you another wellness tool that you have available. And I think that this really matters because sometimes we hesitate to invest in something for ourselves, but we'll do almost anything for the people that we love. And that's human too, right? So I love this. Yes, totally. When dogs are afraid of thunderstorms, like 100%. Like I actually have my own personal experience. We took our cat in to the vet about 8 months ago because she wasn't eating or drinking and she was drooling. And I took her in. The vet $700 later, told us that she had an abscess in her jaw and that she was probably going to last about 30 days and then we'd have to put her down. And you guys, I've been running the tooth abscess playlist from this program. I've been scanning her and optimizing her every day and running the tooth abscess program for 8 months. She's completely normal. She's outside, she's running around, she's playing, she's eating, she's drinking. You would never know that she was sick. And so just there's so many different things that I can bring into this. And I just got to tell you that I'm going to stop talking and I would love to invite two of my friends to this conversation. So let's see, Amber. Amber, are you here? Amber Mitchell. And I wanted to bring Amber into the conversation because she's relatively new. She just started using this program just a little bit ago. So let's see. Girl, are you here? I know that you had another appointment coming up, so I wanted to get you on a little early. And if not, we can go ahead and get to Noelle. Okay, so Noelle, why don't you go ahead and take yourself off of mute, if you wouldn't mind.
Hi, friend.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Of
I love
course.
it. And you and I never even planned this, but we both have bright lipstick on and dark shirts. Like
I
this is
know
who we are.
I did giggle about that when I first hopped on.
All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the night that you decided that this is something that you needed because that was one of my favorite days.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite days too. It's one of a couple, but I definitely uh first of all, LaChelle had introduced me at a retreat, introduced me to this amazing tool. And I was definitely intrigued by it, but I remember thinking, okay, this is fascinating. I love it. I definitely want to know more. But then I did what a lot of us, I think, do. And especially when something's really new, I watched from the sidelines for a while.
Yeah.
And so I dabbled and I used it here and there, and I listened to LaChelle talk about it a lot as her friend, and she is also a mentor of mine. But really, what ended up happening is I had an evening that I woke up one morning with the strangest pain in my arm. And it was right between my shoulder and my elbow. So just a really strange place to have pain.
Hmm.
And I hadn't worked out, it was right away in the morning. I did not sleep on it strangely. It just made no sense, honestly. And that's part of this story because later that day, I was actually struggling to lift up my coffee cup. And if you know me, interfering with my coffee is never a good thing. And so it was just very noticeable, irritating pain all day long. Well, that same day, it just so happened to be that LaChelle was doing a call with another doctor, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to hop on this call. I literally had no idea what this call was about. I just knew it was about this tool, but didn't know anything other than that. I had gotten on a few minutes late because I had just gotten back from a work appointment, and go figure, they're talking about pain management. And I'm like, of course she is. So they asked us to identify any pain that we were experiencing and to rate it from 1 to 10. So I rated my arm at about a 6. And we listened to what I would just describe, just to keep it in simple terms, a short list of frequencies, the Cephi, for a couple of minutes. And honestly, I wasn't expecting anything dramatic. I was just kind of following along. And afterwards, they said, okay, we want you to check this area again. And you guys, I literally started moving my arm up and down and I was lifting it and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this pain is gone. It literally had gone from a 6 to a 1 because it was really just kind of this dull ache. And I am texting LaChelle on the side frantically, knowing she's on this Zoom, and I'm frantically texting her going, "You're not going to believe this. This is wild. My pain has gone." And within about an hour of the call, I no longer had pain at all. Like it was totally, totally gone. It was such an aha moment for me because, like I said, I was dabbling and I just realized at that point, I thought, okay, there is something so true to this. I need to understand this better. And it just kind of changed the whole trajectory of my thought process around what this tool can do for us.
And then we were on a cruise together,
Mm.
and you woke up and you're like, oh, I can feel a migraine coming on. So tell us
Uh,
about that experience.
Yeah. So I had been using, from that point, because now this is several months later. So I was using it, but I'm going to be very, very honest, and LaChelle knows this. I was using it very basic, but those basic ways of using it was making such a huge impact in my life. So I was using it, and like LaChelle said, we had gone on a cruise and we were getting up for a very full morning. And I thought, oh no, I have one of those like excruciating headaches. And I could barely lift my head off of the pillow. And like I said, we had a whole day ahead of us. And normally those kinds of days looks like, some water. I take the Advil. I still use my frequencies. But I was just kind of in this place going, I don't want to lose time in this. And LaChelle, just being LaChelle, said, she asked what I was doing with the scanner because we were kind of doing our whole morning routine stuff. And she literally just showed me two very simple things that I had not been incorporating. So I tried them. And you guys, honestly, I mean, it sounds so wild because I still go, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is part of my story, but it is the honest to God's truth. Within about less than 15 minutes, the headache was gone. I had not taken anything, had not done anything, didn't put on my ice cap like I normally would. And I was up and fully alert. That's the part that I think just really stuck out to me is it wasn't like I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of gone away. I was in a completely different space and I kept saying all day, what in the world just happened? Oh my gosh, just adding a couple of more layers is all it took. And it was so easy because honestly, now I'm doing those layers every single day and it's an extra, like, honestly, 3 minutes of my day.
Yes.
So definitely made me pay attention. I mean, that first incident had me pay attention. I started becoming very, regular and consistent. But the headache on the cruise just really made me realize, holy cow, this tool is literally changing the way I approach and regulate. And that's why I loved the way that you use the car analogies because I thought this is what I'm doing. Like I'm just regulating my body on an everyday basis as opposed to waiting for something to happen that is excruciating. I'm just like doing maintenance every single day. And it just helps me to show up better. I'm an entrepreneur as well and had a fibromyalgia diagnosis a few years ago. And literally off all of, and again, this is just for me, but just been able to regulate that pain and been able to get off of medication and just really be in a space that I can show up every day, predictable, and not feel like, am I going to have one of those major headaches? Am I going to have those things? And if I do, if I feel something coming on, I have the tools to be able to deal with that. So it's
Love
been
that
incredible.
so much. I know you and I are both like empowerment coaches of some sort, and it's just really, really fun to see you use it for all of it, like the mind, body, and spirit. And thank
Yeah.
you. And I know that I'm getting long-winded. So apparently I've taken us on a long call rep tonight. So I'm going to, instead of bringing in more testimonials and stuff, I'm going to say thank you for sharing your heart with us tonight. And I'm going to start to wrap this up. All right, you guys. So what I'm going to say is you might be wondering, like, why would I actually use this? And maybe it's that you feel fantastic and you're just interested in being really proactive. Maybe you're somebody who already isn't working, or feeling the way that you want to, and you're wanting to feel a little bit better. Maybe you're stressed. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe your mind doesn't shut off easily. Maybe you're working on your mindset and you need some stinking thinking help. Maybe you love data and enjoy paying attention to patterns. Maybe you're trying to become more intentional about your wellness. Maybe your teenager is going through something. I use this for my kids and their confidence and their capability. Everything from their confidence in how they love and think of themselves, but also like helping their teenage acne, right? Like there's so many little things. Maybe you're caring for your aging parents. Maybe you're obsessed with your dog. Maybe several of those are true. And the beautiful thing is that you don't need everybody else's reason. Friends, you just need your reason. yours, because the value of a toolbox isn't determined by how many tools somebody else uses. It's determined by how many tools and whether or not you use the tools that are inside of your toolbox for your life. All right. So what is the cost? Like let's just get to it, right? What is the cost? So the AO scan is less than $5 a day. That's what I love about this, is less than $5 a day. And I think that $5 a day can sound very different depending on what you think you're buying. So let's look at this a little bit. If you think I am paying $149 a month for a scan, then that might not be particularly valuable to you. But that's not what you're getting. What you're getting is access to a wellness platform with tools that approach wellness from multiple different directions. Physical wellness, emotional wellness, mindset, personalized audio, CEPI, all of the cool playlists that we talked about, the quick support tools, the pet options, and the ability to use the scanning tools for people that you love. So I don't think that the most useful question is, would I pay $5 a day to scan myself? I think the question is, would having this wellness toolbox available to me and the people that I love add enough value to our lives to justify $5 a day? And because of my anesthesia background, I think about this a little differently, to be honest with you. You see, when I practice anesthesia, I practice with all of these tools. I have all of these medications available to me. I have all of these things available to me, but I don't use every single one on every single patient. And I certainly don't use every single medicine every single day. But when I need something, I want to know that it's there. I mean, I worked for the freaking Mayo Clinic for 20 years. Like I thought of something and it showed up. And that's what I love about this, is that I was just glad that it was there. And that's how this toolbox is for me. The value of the toolbox isn't that I use every single tool every single day, like Noelle said. The value is having the right tool available for when I need it, for when my headache shows up, for maintenance of my fibromyalgia, right? For my dog that all of a sudden needs help. And that's how I think about the AO scan. Today I might need my inner voice really bad because I'm stressed out and overwhelmed. Today or tomorrow I might run the easy scan and pay attention more to that. Maybe something in my vitals got my attention a little bit more today and I want to explore it. Maybe I just can't wait to dive in and look through all the sappy playlists. And maybe I want to use a mind sync for myself or my son. I remember Lauren Swenson, the founder, saying that there's three voices that are most important: God, yourself, and your mom. So he hears my little voice in his earbuds as he goes for his 12-mile run tomorrow, right? Maybe one of my kids is having a hard day and I could use this for them. Maybe my husband finally asked me to scan him, which has finally happened. And maybe I'm just concerned about my dog, and that's a tool for real life, all right? So I love Noelle's stories. Hopefully, my little anecdotes that I shared with you have given you some idea of what this can do. And I don't want you to think about, do I have to understand every single piece of this technology? I want you to think about, how could this fit in my life? You see, for 20 years, I have been practicing anesthesia, and I have had incredible tools available to me to help people when something had already gone wrong. That's why they were in the operating room. And in fact, for those of you guys who don't know a lot about anesthesia, my job is to actually have 10 steps ahead of anything that could happen. That's why my job looks boring to some people in the operating room, because I have already anticipated everything and I've planned for it and I've prepared for it. And that's how I think of the AO scan. Now, I'm so deeply grateful for all the tools that exist in the medical world. And I don't believe that wellness has to be an either or. I think that we can respect modern medicine. I can see my doctor, I can get my labs, I can take my medication when appropriate, and I can seek treatment when I need it. And I can also pay attention to myself. And I can become curious about patterns. I can support my emotional well-being. I can become more intentional about the thoughts that I'm reinforcing. And I can have tools available when something doesn't feel right, something feels off. I can use them when I feel fantastic. I can use them when I feel intentional, and I can have them available to people that I love. And that's what the AO scan represents to me. It's not simply something that you use because something is wrong. It's not something that you pay for hoping that you'll prevent everything someday. It's a wellness toolbox for real life, for the days that you're overwhelmed, for the day that something feels off, for the day that you feel amazing, for the day that you're worried about the child that you have. It's for the the spouse that finally says, fine, scan me. It's for the parent that you are helping take care of. It's for the dog that can't tell you what's wrong. It's for the goal that you're working towards. It's for the person that you're becoming. And tonight, something I showed you might have made you think of yourself, or maybe somebody that you love. Maybe you're curious about the inner voice. Maybe you're thinking about something that has been getting your attention physically lately. Maybe you're thinking about a child or a spouse or parent or even a pet. Pay attention to what made you curious, because that, my friend, is your reason. And you don't have to understand everything about the AO scan tonight. And you don't have to know everything about how every feature works. There's lots of people with lots of really big hearts that are here to help you. You simply have to decide whether having this toolbox available would make your life better. And if your answer is, yeah, I actually think that this could really help, then I want you to talk to the person who invited you tonight. And I want you to ask them to help you get started. And if you're still unsure, I want you to let them help you experience it. Have them run an inner voice for you if you've never experienced it. Look at an AO scan, easy scan report. Get curious about it. Because I think that the AO scan becomes much easier to understand when it stops becoming something that somebody is trying to explain to you, and it starts to become something that you can experience for yourself. So I hope that this brought you some information tonight. I hope that you learned a little bit more about the AO scan, but more importantly, what you, your family's mind, body, and spirit is worth to you, and whether or not you're willing to invest the time and money on yourself so that you can be there for the people that love you and that you can take care of the people that you love. All right. So for that, I'm going to say thank you so much for coming. And for those of you guys who want to stay on for the live Q&A, I am going to stop the recording so that we can have our times together. And for those of you guys who are watching this replay, don't hesitate to reach out to the person who invited you, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions as well. All right. So I'm going to stop the recording.